All right, so the brush I'm going to show you today is the Blend Brush. This is our lightest coverage brush. You can tell because the bristles are more fluffy. They're not so dense, right? So you've got some movement in them. So those are just going to give you a super airbrush finish. I always start with the darkest color. I say that, the darkest highlight color, and I look for any spots that I might need to treat because you actually, I know our whole lives have put concealer on, so a lighter color on spots like that, but you actually want to put a darker one, just like you wear black so you don't see your belly rolls, right? You're actually going to put a darker color on there to conceal. So I'm barely tapping in here, and I'm just looking for anything that might need a little extra love. Now, I'm not going to go crazy because when I use this brush, I'm usually just looking for light coverage. So I'm not going to go like hunt every single spot, but you know, the ones that are yelling out at me. Okay, so I started there. The order really doesn't matter. So you can start with your contour if that's new to you. If you're new to contouring, do that. I'm going to use only, so I've got my contour, my main highlight color, my brightening color, and I like to add bronzer as well as blush. So I'm going to start with a little bit of bronzer first, and I'm going to do that up on my forehead and just super lightly, because my forehead is big. So when we darken it, it's not going to reflect light anymore. It's going to absorb light. So that's not where everyone's focus goes, because I don't want the focus on my forehead. You can apply it with your fingers and blend it around like this if you want, or you can just do it right on the brush. So either way is fine. So I'm just gonna do a little bronzer on the tops of my cheeks, just like where you'd kind of get some sun, because that's what bronzer is supposed to look like, right? Just a little bit of tan. I love our cream bronzer because it's not like orangey or shiny, it's just tan. I call it a tan in a tin. If you're gonna get the bronzer, let your artist know, because you can get it for only $4 if you buy it with the brush that's actually made to put it on, which is not this brush, but this brush does great with the bronzer. So I did a little bit of that first. Now I'm gonna go, I'll do my contour. So I'm gonna switch to my small end and draw myself a line right on my cheekbone, and it kind of curves up. You can see around my cheekbone, like a little Nike swoosh. See that? Same thing other side. You can see that? Just kind of gives it a little lift there. And then if I want to add a little around the edges of my hairline, I just kind of blend it as I go and pull it forward. But you can flip back over to blend it. So I'm not even having to wash my brush between these colors because it's all eventually blending together. I am kind of blending up because I want to keep my cheekbones nice and high. See that? So I want to keep that lift that we created. And I'm just blending around. Now this brush I feel like because it's not as dense, I feel like it does take a little more blending, right? So whereas if I were using a brush like the 3D brush, let's see if I can actually grab it, where it was denser, I could just do one swipe and it would probably be blended, you know what I'm saying? But this is just such a great brush for light coverage. I love it for blush. Okay, so I'm gonna also add a little bit of my contour, the small end under my lips. That's gonna give it more dimension, make it look like it's got a shadow hanging over it, like it's fuller. And then you could also use your contour color in your brows. Once I have a tiny bit left on the brush, I do some under my jawline. The under the jawline is optional, so you can just kind of see if you feel like that makes your jawline look more cut. I don't go all the way under my chin because I've already got a natural shadow there with my dub chin, right? I don't want to add any more, but I do want to sharpen over here. So I'm adding a little there, and you can blend it around, blend it down your neck like that. You could even do that with your bronzer if your neck tends to be paler than your face. Can bring that down there as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into we're gonna come back and contour the nose because I am gonna put down some of the main color first. So I'm gonna go into my main highlight color and just kind of brushing this through here. I'm not digging in. You see, you can't really see where the bristles are hitting because I'm not picking up a ton of product. And I'm just gonna do that in these areas. And again, you can, if it makes you feel better, you can pick it up and with your finger, dab it on, and then blend it with the brush. That also ensures you don't get too much product. So you can, to each his own. You can pick it up with the brush or you can pick it up with your finger. I always want to avoid a bunch of oil on my fingers getting on my face, so I usually just do it with the brush. Remember, you need to keep your brush clean. We do have a brush cleaner that smells like cotton candy and get your brush nice and clean, but if you don't have that yet, just use some alcohol water in a spray bottle. So I'm just doing that all the way up until the contour line. I'm gonna go around my mouth super lightly. And I'm not even gonna put any up on my forehead, but I am gonna do my nose. I'm gonna lightly just kind of do my whole nose. I can go up between there a little bit if I want. Okay. And then whatever's left, I'll just kind of rub in this area. Okay, next step, we're gonna take our brightening shade. I'm gonna go in the smallest color, and I'm gonna tap right out here where it's meeting my contour line. I'm actually not doing it straight under eye yet because I do not want too much color. I'm gonna do that on the inner corner. Very little. Use less product, you can always add more. I'm gonna move a tiny bit under my brow. So that's kind of where I'm putting it on concentrated. And this light color, we're gonna kind of fill in this whole area, but I want the most product, I want as little product as possible under eye, even because I know you think that's where I need the most coverage, but that's where your skin moves the most. So if you put a color that's too light there, you're actually gonna add texture to that area, and it's gonna not last all day. So I'm gonna just brighten in those areas, and I've actually kind of left what you probably thought is the part that needed the most coverage. If I wanna go add some there, I'm actually gonna add the main color super lightly because it's got more coverage. So it's gonna cover those circles, but the circles, I mean, even kids have those. So some of it's actually really pretty, but you still are gonna get that boom lifting effect by adding that light color out here and under your brows. So you really don't actually want to put that under eye, straight under eye. So I actually didn't really have hardly anything on here. I'm just blending, kind of circling around, getting these colors to all marry together. See, like that. And if you want to add a little extra between the eyebrows, kind of like a little palm tree, we'll do up the center of the nose in a second after we contour it. And I like to add that little bright color right here. Now, I don't have a pretty Cupid's bow shape. I don't even have an upper lip. But if you've got like a pretty Cupid's bow shape, you definitely want to add some of that light color right in there. You can give yourself a little button nose, right? So whatever's light is going to reflect the light. I'm going to go up the middle just a tiny bit. And I'm going to stick with that same color. I'm not even washing it off. And I'm going to go into my contour and contour my nose. And I'm just going to very lightly draw a straight line, 2 straight lines to make, look how much thinner my nose just looked. That's just my $14 nose job right there. And you can blend it down the sides. You actually want to see the lines from the front, just not from the side. You can come down under here, especially if your nose, if you got more nose than you want down there. You don't want to make the lines go like this because then you're going to make the bottom of your nose look bigger. So if you can't get them perfectly straight, it's better to err this way than that way. That makes sense. And that's it except for blush. So we'll add some blush on with this. Just very lightly touching this. Kind of seeing, giving a little smile so you can see where the apples of your cheeks are. And this brush is just great for blush. I use this every day for blush pretty much. This one or the blush and bronzer, go between the two. Kind of depends on which color blush I'm using. But definitely if it's something bright, then I can just paint it exactly where I want it, right on the apples of my cheeks, right over top of that contour line. And remember, your blush color can also be used on your lips. Contour can line your lips, kind of depends on what colors you're looking for. This is the blush color Candy. It's a little light for my lips. I'd prefer a little darker, but just so you remember. But I like it on my cheeks. And you can just add and add until you get to your desired level of blushiness. And that's it. So we've done our whole face with one brush. It's also awesome to put on Illuminator with this. So let me try if I can find a powder illuminator. I tend to use the cream illuminators. You know, I don't have one on me. So the cream illuminators, which you've probably called highlighter before, go right here just to accentuate your bone structure. Again, if you've got that pretty Cupid's bow shape, anywhere you're gonna put this illuminator, you're gonna reflect light, so you're gonna draw attention to. So anywhere you've got natural, like facial bones you wanna make stand out, that's where you wanna put your illuminator. Put it in the center of your lip, it's gonna add a lot of volume. So throw you on some of there. I'm gonna go in and add a little contour around my lips so you can see it darker, or maybe even some bronzer. But yeah, you could even use this this brush to add like this same colors that we used on here, we can make eyeshadow with it. We'll take the pink and do the main lid. Then we'll take the contour and we'll darken the outer edges. And we'll do the lighter color. And we'll lighten the inner corners. I mean, there's so much you can do with this brush. Right? So now we've got our eyes big and open. Add a little more pink as our main shade. See that there? And then I'll add the darker color. You could either use the bronzer or the contour on these outer edges. And that's it. Obviously I need some eyeshadow, but that's all. It really is great though, this brush, for a powder highlighter, because it's really nice to just put it on right there. But that's it. That's the blush. I'm sorry, that's the blend brush, not the brush blend.